Today's video is brought to you by Hunt a Killer. Allow me to present you the new way to do game night with your friends and family. Hunt a Killer is an immersive murder mystery game told over the course of 6 episodes. When Julia Adler discovers the corpse of a famous actress from the 30s in her family's theater, what was previously thought of as a disappearance is revealed to be a murder. With the board of directors trying to push her out and the theater's reputation on the line, she looks to you to discover the truth. Hunt a Killer will give you the opportunity to have fun, work together, and investigate crime without even having to leave the house. You'll have to decode challenging ciphers, examine clues, and solve puzzles, just like the Resident Evil games. Join a thriving community of thousands of members to help each other solve difficult puzzles and have discussions about true crime. Part of the proceeds for every box goes to the Cold Case Foundation, an organization that is dedicated to helping with real-life cold cases. With over 1,000 active subscribers and over 2,000 5-star reviews, you won't want to miss out on this opportunity. Right now, you can go to huntakiller.com/unit522 and use my code UNIT522 for 20% off your first box. Happy hunting. I grew up in a small town in Ohio, roughly 30 miles outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My hometown was once famed for being the pottery capital of America. Unfortunately, due to changing times, the city's glory days are long gone. I was about 16 years old at the time and was attending the local high school. Also at the same time, there was a performing arts school that had opened nearby, and I was attending some of the weekend classes and made new friends with some of the students who attended the art school. One October, a group of us decided to get together. There was 5 of us total. The majority of the students who attended this school lived at least a half hour away from the school itself, so it was up to me to find something that we could all do, since I was the most familiar with the area. There is an Ohio State Park in my city, near the outskirts. This park has many famous tales surrounding it, from the death of a woman who was left at the altar, to the killing of Pretty Boy Floyd, who was an American gangster and bank robber. But it's most notoriously known for Gretchen's Lock, which is a dam system that was built around 1836. The lock system is named after the man who built it, who lost his daughter due to an illness at sea. His daughter was supposedly buried at the lock for many years, although her body has been removed. However, many say that her spirit still lingers in the area, searching for her mother. Regardless, it's October, and that seems like the perfect place to go. And this group was myself, Amanda, Beth, Sarah, and Abby, and we were all in Abby's car, a brand new Dodge Durango. We all packed into the vehicle and headed to the park. The park setting is down a very large hill, nestled against a creek, which is why the dam was needed over 100 years ago. There is a mill house, horse trails, walking paths, campsites, and many other picturesque features. That is, during the day. There's an ominous feel there at night, almost as if you're being watched. Granted, we were teenagers, and we weren't really there for the haunt as much as we were there to catch a buzz of some kind. Luckily for us, Amanda brought the good stuff. We were all excited to listen to music and get stoned in the dark, and just enjoy ourselves. We smoked, and smoked, and smoked. You could have cut through the fog in the SUV with a knife. We were listening to the latest Metro Station CD. Mind you, this was around 2010, 2011. The sounds of music and coughing filled the vehicle to the point that Abby opened the door to get a breath of fresh air. I sat in the middle between Amanda and Sarah, which meant Beth and Abby were in the front, who were best friends anyway. Sarah wasn't a big smoker, and she was starting to get paranoid. Mind you, for a good reason. It was pitch black outside, and there was little to no light produced by the single solitary streetlight located in the middle of the parking lot, about 100 feet away from where we were. Sarah kept mentioning that she heard leaves crunching from outside. We told her to never mind, and that it was just all in her head. After about 15 minutes of Sarah having a panic attack, she tried to calm herself down. We agreed to turn off the music and hear Sarah out. We were there, sitting in silence, except for the occasional flick of a lighter. What we heard next left all of us sitting up in our seats. We could hear leaves breaking. There was a rustling noise, but it sounded like it was a good distance away. I told Sarah not to worry, and that it was probably just some animal. After about 5 minutes of us sitting in silence, I started telling the old story about the young girl who perished at sea. The girls made me stop, because they were getting a bit too freaked out. Abby said that she was too afraid to drive out of the park, and that she just needed to find a happy place, so she could start navigating the dark roadways back to the main road. I was about to get up and go outside and light up a cigarette, when Sarah sat up and put her hand on my leg. Her eyes were the size of 50-cent pieces. She leaned in and whispered to me, "I heard something right outside." I laughed it off quietly and told her that there was really nothing to worry about. What happened next, I will remember forever. Abby goes to start the car with no response. The engine didn't turn over, which freaked Abby out, considering it was a brand new car. Sarah started to panic, making sure that her door was locked. Abby tried to start the car again. Nothing. Just the sound of failed ignition. At the third attempt, her SUV fired up, and you could hear the engine echoing through the surrounding hills. Abby turned on her headlights, and the blood-curdling screams that followed, I will never forget. All 4 girls, including myself, screamed at the top of our lungs. We were in shock at what was in front of us. Surrounding the entire vehicle were men and women, all dressed in black and wearing ski masks. They were holding dead cats and raccoons up by their tails. The animals were slit right down the middle. Abby threw the vehicle in reverse, not knowing what to do. As soon as the vehicle began to back up, the men and women standing around the vehicle started yelling and screaming, and banging on the vehicle, smacking the windows and kicking the tires. It was as if we were in the middle of a riot. The banging and pounding stopped, and suddenly everything was silent again. But they all were still there. We could still see them. Abby slowly backed out of the parking spot. Some of the men and women removed their black masks and revealed their smug smiles. They all seemed to be eerily happy. Abby hauled ass, navigating through the twisting roads that led out of the park. When finally we were almost out, we stopped at a stop sign, and we all came out of our fear-induced comas and started talking about what we all had just witnessed, when suddenly 2 feet slammed on the hood of the SUV. In sheer panic, Abby slammed down on the accelerator, causing the man on the hood to slam into the windshield, completely shattering it. He then rolled off moments later. Traveling at what felt like the speed of light, we hauled ass out of the valley where the park's located, pulled into an upscale residential neighborhood, and I immediately got out of the SUV and lit a cigarette to calm my nerves. We all shared our thoughts about what happened. I was speechless, and I felt horrible for taking them there. Once I was dropped off, I never spoke to Abby or the rest of the girls again. I think they had some PTSD from the events of that night. I know that Abby told her father that she hit a deer that night in an attempt to explain the dent on the hood and the shattered windshield. I don't believe we'll ever get to the bottom of what happened, but further research shows that there was a lot of cult activity in that area around that time. What we experienced there ended up being much scarier than the ghost story I had planned to tell that night. I'm a relatively small 19-year-old female, about 5'3", so not very intimidating. I live in a small northern Ontario town with an epidemic of homelessness and a lot of drinking problems. The town streets are filled with a variety of homeless people, most of whom are so drunk they don't even know their own names. It's a common problem to have them ask for spare change, food, or rides. I don't give out money or rides for obvious reasons. There was one night where I was leaving work around dusk, and I was walking to my vehicle that I had parked at a grocery store parking lot about a block or so away. A little bit of backstory. I want to be a police officer, and I'm fully engulfed in the process of getting there. Becoming a police officer in Canada is a very competitive field, and there's a lot that you have to do to make yourself the best candidate. I've been frequently going on ride-alongs with two of the officers at my local detachment, and therefore I've picked up on a lot of the ways that they communicate with people on the street. I was walking back to my vehicle when I could see a man about a block away, lingering around an intersection, when he spots me in the distance and starts staggering towards me. Great, I thought. He's going to want change or something. I didn't start walking faster because I didn't want to seem like I was afraid of him. Most of them are too drunk to do anything anyways. As I'm getting to my vehicle, he's pretty much there as well. Being pleasant, I said hello. The dialogue went as follows. There is some sexually explicit language, and I know I was stupid to have a conversation with this guy. Hello. I'm walking to Tim Hortons. The alcohol fumes coming off this guy were choking me. That's nice. Do you have money? Sorry, I don't have any change on me, I said truthfully. It's rare that I carry cash on me ever. I primarily use my debit card. No, I don't want your money. Confused, I wondered why he was asking me if I had money, if he didn't want any. So, what are you doing? Where are you going? I just finished working. I'm gonna go meet a friend. You finished work? I nodded. So, you do have money. If you're working then, right? Getting uneasy about him continually asking if I had money, I stepped back to get myself out from between him and my vehicle. Ask me where... he stammered. I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Ask me where I'm going. Every word out of his mouth was slurred and mumbled. He was so drunk. I thought about calling the cops since I knew half of the shift that was on that night. Okay, where are you going? I asked, playing along. Tim Hortons, to meet my brother. Cool, that's a long walk. There was no way he would make it all the way out there without being picked up by the cops. Hey, you're looking good, he said suddenly, changing the subject. Do you have a boyfriend? You're a beauty. No, I don't have a boyfriend. So, if you don't have a boyfriend, when was the last time someone fucked your brains out? I immediately shut him down. Sir, you need to step back. When's the last time you had a really good orgasm? I reached into my jacket pocket and grabbed my switchblade. You need to step back. I have a knife, and I'll call the cops. He continued to walk closer. Step back. I raised my voice at him, somehow catching his attention. He went from 0 to 100 really fast, becoming belligerent and stumbling backward. You better leave, bitch. If you stay here one more second, I'm fucking you until your eyes bleed. I got into my vehicle and immediately locked all the doors and drove away. Being the idiot that I am, I didn't call the police because I was far too embarrassed to have some of the cops I know show up. I had no interest in spending the rest of the night doing interviews, giving statements, and pursuing pressing charges. I know how the process works, and I didn't want to have to show up in court. Fast forward a few weeks later, when I'm doing another ride-along, and we ended up arresting that same guy and he spent the night in jail for being drunk out of his mind. I'm not at liberty to go into too much detail, but long story short, his behavior in my personal encounter made a lot of sense after they went over his record. After my parents divorced when I was 5, my dad and I moved to a town called Southbury in Connecticut. My dad worked at a Shell station, and once I was old enough to ride my bike on my own, I would visit him when he was working after school. One day during the summer, I rode over to visit my dad, and this lanky, weird-looking kid walked into the Shell station. I noticed him pocket one of the snacks off the shelf. I tugged on my dad's sleeve and pointed out the kid, and my dad went to confront him. When the stolen merchandise was found on him, he was asked to leave. He then stormed out of the store screaming profanities. We later discovered the kid was Adam Lanza, who went on to massacre all those people at Sandy Hook in 2012. Fast forward to December of 2007. I was staying at my mom's in Baltimore when I met her new boyfriend. My mom needed a babysitter on short notice because she and her boyfriend wanted to go on a date. She found a guy named Nick, who is a relative of a friend. Despite him being slightly weird, we got along just fine. We played Star Wars on PS2 and popped in some R-rated movies. I remember liking him and was willing to have him babysit me again. But before that happened, Nick went on to kill both of his parents and 2 younger brothers in February of 2008 before hiding the weapon and trying to cover up the murders. His full name is Nicholas Wagner Browning. Fast forward again to 2014. My stepdad was in the military, and he got transferred to a base in South Carolina. I was a moody teenager by then, and I didn't really care much for being around other people, and absolutely hated being trapped on a military base. I spent a lot of time online in chat rooms, and gave my personal information out pretty irresponsibly. One day I got an email message with a number to call. Stupidly, I called it, and the guy who answered said his name was Dylan. I started hanging out with him and a couple of his friends. That is until I realized that all of his friends were racists, and were trying to recruit me into their neo-Nazi cult. I broke off communication with them. Dylan Roof went on to kill 9 people 1 year later, at a church in Charlestown. I know all of these sound like impossible coincidences, but I swear all of these accounts are true. It makes me nervous whenever I meet new people, because I wonder if they'll become the nation's next mass murderer. Hey everyone, thank you for tuning into this episode of Based on True Events. If you enjoyed these narrations and would like your story to be featured in this series, please send in your written experience to unit522stories@outlook.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Until next time, I'm your Uncle Unit, and as always, never forget, there's always a